You were mentioning Tom Brady before Gojo joined us here on the Zoom.
Well, yeah. So Tom Brady, there's reports now that there will be restrictions for him if his ownership stake in the Raiders goes through. He will face restrictions as a minority owner in terms of broadcasting. And on the front end, it sounds like, wow, this is not great for Tom Brady, but it actually sounds pretty awesome because here's the thing. Tom Brady, if he becomes a minority owner in the Raiders, is now going to have certain restrictions that he won't be able to do certain things that announcers have to do. Like, for example, Tom Brady will not be allowed to witness practice in person for other teams. So now Tom Brady doesn't have to go to the practices that he doesn't want to go to. Tom Brady won't have access to certain members, certain players and coaches. He won't have to he won't be allowed to, I should say, sit through some of the production meetings where he meets with the broadcast crew and they sit down with the players and coaches. Tom Brady's not going to be allowed in certain practice facilities and other meetings. So it seems like Tom Brady now is going to be able to get paid the $375 million or whatever it was to broadcast for Fox, but won't be allowed to do a lot of the job he should be doing in order to broadcast the game. Also, Tom Brady can't be overly critical of officials, and he might not be might not be allowed to be overly critical of players on other teams. So it seems like if Tom Brady wants to still be a minority owner in the Raiders, all he can do is show up and call the game, and he can't really be that critical of players. Or he may face sanctions, I guess, or whatever, fines.
So he gets $375 million for just showing up on Sundays and calling a game with minimal preparation. I love where this is headed. He could still come back to the NFL if he wants. He has an ownership stake in the Las Vegas Raiders as well. Greg Olsen somewhere is seething. I mean,
yeah. I mean, Greg Olsen was kind of at the heart of this because remember, these were a lot of rules they put in place when he called a game as an active player. He was injured and he called a game against the Vikings, and everyone was like, how are we doing this? So Greg Olsen, in a weird way, tied in with this.
Right. So Tom
We're also
Brady
skimming over. We're also skimming over one of the best parts about all this. He has a built-in excuse to be bad.
Yes.
He is. Hey, I would have been better, but they keep
what am I supposed to do?
No one's letting me in the meetings.
I'm sorry,
I'm not. To the coach, right?
Yeah.
I can't criticize a ref. I mean, what do you want me to do?
I would have said great things here. I'm not allowed.
The Stugotz is strong in Tom Brady. That's the only logical conclusion for this, is that Tom Brady spent the last year not studying other broadcasters, not meticulously taking notes in the side of these booths, but just figuring out the parts of the process that he didn't actually want to have to go through, and then going and using this as the final boss to get out of them. I'm proud of him.
Yeah,
I imagine him.
Welcome to the club, Tom.
I imagine him going into the meetings, and they're like, "Tom, we have to have a talk. Sit down." And they go over these whole things, and he goes, "I accept these conditions," and just gets up and he goes on to play golf or whatever.
Check doesn't change, right? Check doesn't change.
Sounds
you guys have my direct deposit info. All right.
If it has to be this way, I suppose.
Tom, you can't criticize refs. Okay. Tom, you can't meet with the coaches before the game. Okay. Tom, you just have to show up at 12:55. You can leave at 4:15. Okay. I mean, I love this guy. What a gig.
It's great. I mean, it does give him the opportunity to do my favorite thing that Tony Romo does in the booth with Jim Nantz, which is, because again, like the normal ebb and flow of the broadcast booth is like, you're supposed to be watching the game through the analyst's eyes. The play-by-play is there to set up big moments and all that stuff, but the analyst is there to show people the game through their lens with all that experience that you get from a Brady and a Romo and stuff like that. And so you get to these critical moments where it's, hey, was this guy in bounds? Does a penalty like this happen? And Tony Romo routinely flips the script to where he'll be going like to break and he'll be looking at Jim like, I don't know, Jim, what do you think about this one in this play? And I'm like, that's your job, Tony. This is incredible.
He's asking Nance.
Yeah, he's like, Nance, what do you think on this one? Should they call draw on 3rd and long or what?
You think Nance is ever like, you think he's processing that? Like, hey, Tony, you're not supposed to ask me. Like,
I mean, I feel like if anyone, and like I love Jim Nance's voice, but I feel like if anyone would like to get their own opinion on it in there, wouldn't mind getting involved in that, Jim Nance is probably in that group. He probably thinks he's got some things to say.
Yeah.